Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. I am Dr. Enolia, and it brings me great pleasure to bring to you Michael Muir. And let me introduce him before we get started. Michael is a transformational healer, a teacher, a somatic psychotherapist, astral shaman, and light language conduit for higher galactic frequencies. His sole purpose is to channel energy from various realms as a vehicle for healing the soul remembrance. After a 2013 trip to Uluru, okay, in the heart of Australia, Michael developed a strong connection with Pleiadian energy. This marked the beginning of his journey into psychic expansion and increasing connection to interdimensional frequencies and otherworldly beings. This is where his traditional healing background as a somatic psychotherapist expanded into quantum realms. Michael began accessing divine keys and codes, integrating them into therapeutic space to activate clients' DNA and Akashic memory. Michael works directly with light body and DNA activation through the 12 chakras. In his workshops, this process links participants to astrological alignments and portals. In one on one sessions, it supports karmic and past life clearings while deepening connections to the multidimensional soul. Welcome, Michael.
My goodness, that sounds impressive, doesn't it? Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on to the show.
Yes, and Uluru has played a significant role. Wow, to go to that beautiful sacred space.
Mm,
I'd love for you to share with us
mm,
how that connection came to be and what made, and for those who don't know who
mm.
excuse me, I want to make sure I say it right, Uluru, which is
Yeah,
Ayers Rock, right?
yeah, yeah,
Correct me if
Ezra.
I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, yeah,
In
yeah, yeah.
in Australia,
Mm,
what what called you
okay.
there?
It was actually I don't know if you know the channel Chiron, uh,
Yes, I do.
magnetic channel,
Yeah.
and he was um he was doing a conference in Uluru.
Okay.
Uh, and I just had done a workshop because I originally started working with light language around 2004,
Okay.
and then because there wasn't much around about it back then, I sort of just put it to bed. Also, I wasn't grounded enough. I had to do some more personal work to really anchor my channel. And then I decided to do a light language workshop with a lady called Judy Satori,
Yes.
beautiful lady from New Zealand.
Beautiful.
Yeah, uh, who's been doing light language many years. And that opened me up even more, giving me the confidence to connect with more galactic frequencies, to connect and really work with people doing light language. And so I was really inspired when Chiron, um, s- uh, it was almost like Spirit knew that I needed a reason to go. And
Hmm.
it wasn't really about the conference, although it was very beneficial to me. But it was really about me getting to Uluru.
Okay.
And when I got there and sat near the rock, because you can sit pretty close and you can walk around it, it's about 12K.
Hmm.
And it's a profoundly activating center. It is the solar plexus chakra, Earth chakra of Mother Earth, so a very powerful center, very pure energy in the middle of the desert, hasn't been polluted or contaminated by too much outside energies. So it's very clear. So when you go there, even if you're not aware or conscious of it, you will get a clearing and an upgrade.
Okay.
And and what was coming through, and the Palladian energy started to work with me prior to going quite strongly. And basically, I remembered this past life as a Palladian being, and
Mm.
coming down at that grid point, Uluru, and I connected with some of that energy. And I don't see so much visually, but I get a knowing, I get a feeling, more kinesthetic based, and that just really, that whole experience just really anchored in this clarity and resilience in my central channel, and really opened me up to the Pleiadian frequencies, which then subsequently I worked with many different galactic frequencies. I don't name them so much, but um, that was the beginning. That was the big opening, and it's such a powerful portal of energy. Um, so I recommend anyone go if they can get to go to that grid point. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, I definitely, that's a trick I definitely will be making in my lifetime as I traverse the world.
yeah. Yeah.
It calls, and I've always loved, the song and singing into being that which calls. Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned Judy Satori, and I want to go there. So with your light language, were you initiated? Did it come when you attended Judy Satori? Did it come before then? And what
Ah,
actually initiated that
okay. So
aspect?
for me and everybody, obviously, this is just my personal experience. Other light language channels may have been had a different experience, but for me, um, it came organically through. So and when I was studying somatic psychotherapy in Sydney, Australia, it was a 4-year course. It was a very experiential course, and part of it was working, um, learning counseling skills, how to work with people in that way. And then the other side of the training was hands-on body work. So very energetic, therapeutic, healing work, really.
Okay.
And during that experience, in the I think that experience of opening up to energy work at the same time I was studying with Tibetan Buddhism,
Okay.
tantric practices, deity, visualizing the deity practices. And I think the combination of the working with the Tibetan Buddhists, and their innate alignment, and what they hold within their energy and their wisdom, and
Mhm.
the opening, and then doing the hands-on body work, that combination opened my light language. And I
Mm.
just remember it just started coming out. And, there was no Facebook, there was no social media, no one was talking about it. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is a bit insane. This was a bit insane.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and nobody around me really had heard it. I hadn't even heard of light language back then. So I talked to a couple of my teachers. They were like, oh, no, 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 don't worry about it. And so I sort of pushed it to the side. It was always there in my consciousness since that opening. But I think I wasn't ready psychologically. I wasn't grounded enough. I needed to do some more personal work before I started working with it. Then around 2012, 13, I decided to participate in a Judy Satori retreat. Yeah, that was also, she came to Sydney to do a retreat, and it was the Mary Magdalene energy. So beautiful, such beautiful heart energy. And so super powerful experience for me personally. Very heart opening. I was going through a loss at the time, so my heart was quite raw. So the energy really got in, and I was already in Sydney running groups, bodywork groups. So I had a group sort of set up, if you will. But after that retreat with Judy, it really gave me the permission, the confidence to give it a go, to start working with people and to test the waters. I'm from a scientific background. Initially, I was born in England. I came to Australia, 96, and my background's science. And
Oh,
so I like to do my own research. So what I did was I really researched it with what clients that I knew were open to light language and group situations to sort of see if it did anything, see if it was actually useful, or I was just like going a little bit cuckoo, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
so so I did a little bit of tentative testing the waters. And then gradually, expanding and getting more confident and getting more people to work with and blah blah blah. So it just kind of gradually flowed, and I'm just very lucky that I meet wonderful people like yourself. I get beautiful clients that really benefit from the work. So
Yeah.
it's been awesome. It's been really
I
awesome.
love it because I feel like light language is pure love. You know,
Mhm.
it's a remembering of our language before we really came here in my mind. And I love the
Mm,
way that JJ
mm,
Hertech kind of defines it as the light codes and the sacred geometries at a vibrational level and the
mm,
harmonics so that
mm,
it encircles that which
mm,
is our client so that their
mm,
vibration taps into it and is raised.
mm,
And
mm,
as you found out as we met and we're exploring and learning about one another, you know that I speak light language, and it's
mm,
interesting because I had heard all about Judy Satori and I used to listen to her light language constantly.
mm.
Her and Jamie Price, right? They were the two
Oh, sweet. I
mainstream
love
coming
Jamie
out.
Price. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I'm like, oh wow. And I didn't speak light language at all, but I
Mm, mm,
attended this really interesting ceremony called Stone Dance. It's supposed to be a little bit of a takeoff of the Lakota
mm,
in the Sun Dance. And
mm.
in Stone Dance, you know, the people dance for spirit for 24 hours and 12
Mm.
hours, you know, so they do a
Wow.
12-hour
Mm,
cycle, then they do a 24-hour cycle. And I was a dancer's helper, right? So I was supposed to
mm,
help the person who was supposed to be dancing for spirit.
mm.
And
Wow, wow.
so, you know, one of the organizers, he was saging the
Mm,
the the grounds, and he
mm, mm,
passes by me and he sees me and he says, "A
mm,
grandmother wants to speak to you. She's right over there." And
mm,
walks away from me. And I'm like,
mm,
okay. So I
mm,
looked, I didn't
mm,
see anyone. And I said,
mm,
oh, he must be talking etherically. And then he
mm,
comes
mm,
back around using the
mm,
sage and he goes, the
mm,
grandmother, did you talk to her? And I'm like,
mm.
what do you mean etherically? He's like, no, silly, the grandmother over there. So I turn all the
Oh,
way around and there she
oh,
is. And this
okay.
woman who's about 70 or 80 waves over to me. Um, yeah, she was
Mm,
about 75. She was older. She's very
mm,
frail, very fragile.
mm,
And so she motions me over
mm,
and, you know, she looks at me and, you know, I introduce myself and everything.
mm,
And when she's looking at me, she's like looking through me, you
mm,
know? And she goes, may I give you a prayer? And I'm like, okay. So she puts her hand on my heart
mm,
and she starts speaking light language.
mm,
And I'm like, okay.
mm,
And I'm all excited. I can
mm,
feel it. And then
mm,
she withdraws and I go, I know
mm,
this language. I know this language.
mm,
I hear it with Judy
mm,
Satori. I hear it with Jimmy Grace. I know, you know, I'm all excited. And
mm,
she goes, oh, so then you know who I am.
mm,
And I was like,
mm,
no.
mm,
And I didn't want to guess.
mm,
And I said, I don't want to guess. So would you share with me who you are? And she,
mm.
Mary Magdalene language, that Mary Magdalene energy
Wow.
coming
Wow.
through her. And it probably took about a couple of
Mm,
weeks after that that I started speaking.
mm,
So I wanted to share that with you because that parallel of that
mm.
Mary Magdalene energy
Mm. Beautiful. Mm, mm.
coming
And
through those who are initiates.
yeah, wow, wow, wow. And it feels like um that's the key, yeah. The key is that it's not that anything's better or worse, but I've always felt that there's people that hold these codes from other lifetimes, and then once they get in the right energy field of another um, initiate, if you will, then they will spark and come online with their light language. And I've experienced that. I've moved to the Queensland now from Sydney, but when I
Mhm.
was doing a lot more groups in Sydney, um, people would spontaneously, after a little while hanging out in my energy, some people would start speaking light language. And I feel like it's really it's almost like it's just an energy activation by osmosis, body to body. Like
Yeah.
you said, she put her hand on your heart, she spoke the code, and boom. And I feel that that's how. and I think it's and it's almost like it's rising in the collective field. I feel like more and more are coming online and remembering as there is this really strong energetic shift that we're all going through right now, and
Exactly.
remembering who we are from these.
Remembering who we are. And
Mm,
I want to
mm,
caveat this to
yeah.
those, this is not speaking in tongues.
Mm,
I want to make it really clear because it's not
mm,
indoctrinated, okay?
mm,
It is
mm,
not indoctrinated. It
mm,
is just something
mm,
that passes through, it
mm,
comes from you, through you, to you.
mm,
I almost feel like Enolia sits
mm,
aside and
mm,
it just comes through me.
mm.
And then when
I
it's
just,
done,
yeah. I always think it's like almost it's like another stream of your own being. Because
yeah,
I mean, some people get a little um, frightened of light language because, oh, who is it? What are you channeling? Is it of the dark? Is it of the light? Blah, blah, blah. And I always feel that you've got to trust the person that's channeling it for a start, but also you've got to trust your felt sense. You've got to
yeah,
trust your felt sense that you feel that the energy is pure, and if the light language channel is grounded and present and done the work within
yeah.
themselves, you know that, and what is coming through is their higher being in pure
The higher
consciousness.
being and your
Mm,
intention is absolutely everything. So if you're in fear, well, what
mm,
are you drawing to you? But if
yeah.
your intention is that which is coming forward and very clear,
Mm,
that's what's coming through. I know that when I use light language in
mm,
healing
mm,
and my
mm,
intention is healing,
mm.
that's what comes through me is that
Exactly.
healing and those light
Exactly.
codes for healing. So I really
Exactly.
to me, it really boils down to what is your intention
Mm,
and where would you what would you like to express with that, with the intention
yeah.
behind it? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I agree. It's just not. It may sound similar to talking in tongues, but it is a pure stream of consciousness.
it is.
Um, and I think if people just remember that, don't get hooked on if if it's been delivered via a conduit, and then a ascended master, because there's a lot of, I think, fear put into us these days that then you kind of don't get the purity of the energy. And sometimes when I work with people, however, so like I did a group recently here, and there was a lady that hadn't done light language before, but she'd heard of it. And sometimes when you're new to it, it sounds strange, and it
Yes.
sounds a bit weird and a bit freaky, and it sounds a little. And when she first heard it, she had to wrestle with fear in her body, because
Right.
I think also the energy, when it clears energies, can bring up fear. And so, not if you're hearing it for the first time, or you're working with someone with the first time, just be allowing of what you're feeling in your body, but don't get attached to it,
Exactly.
because it really does bring up, in those that know it at a soul level, can bring in a deep clearing. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
100% agree with you. So you touch on
Mm,
being conscious about it. I want to go
mm,
to consciousness. I want to kind of shift our gears a little bit.
sure.
We're in a world at
Mm,
this time where
mm,
so many things are happening.
mm,
And there is a fundamental waking up that is taking place.
mm,
But yet, people aren't necessarily conscious even though they're awake, you know.
mm,
And I would
mhm,
love for you to define what consciousness means for the masses in the
mm,
respect that that wake up call needs
mm,
to not only just be a wake up call, but
mm.
needs to have a focus. So would you just share your thoughts a little bit?
Or like what to do with consciousness kind of thing,
What
you
to do
mean?
with consciousness and almost even how to tap into it too.
Mm. I mean, I feel that some of us are lucky, yeah. We kind of innately are conduits or channels for energy, yeah.
Mm.
And I feel like the most important thing right now, because of the level of distress in the world, which if you're energetically sensitive, you can feel, um,
Yes.
that is quite disruptive. And so it's important to really work on your body, I feel, as a home and a temple, as a grounded platform for you to receive energy. Because at this time, um, I feel personally that we are receiving so much. We are receiving from the earth underneath. I feel like I get this image of lost gems and jewels, like from Atlantis, from Lemuria, from other timelines. As the earth rumbles, as the seismic activity continues, as there's a little bit of disruption, then this is allowing an unearthing of energies. So we're receiving energies from underneath, and we're receiving cosmic energies or astral energies or higher self energies, whatever you want to call it.
Solar
And
flares, everything, just a little bit of
yeah,
everything. Yeah,
yeah, totally. So we're bombarded, basically. We're
yeah,
bombarded, which is really shifting our physical body, cleansing density, releasing old patterns, and also opening up us to a higher consciousness. And when I say higher consciousness, I guess for me it means a bigger picture view. Yeah. So of course there is a lot of what seems like awful things happening in the world, and that is true. At a 3D matrix level, there's a lot of pain and suffering and collapse of systems. Yeah. But
yes.
also I feel like that is a necessary part because if we're comfortable as a collective, we're not going to change. If we're comfortable in our own little world, in our own little experience, then we're not going to be forced to do like it's like that diamond in the coal, like under it forms under pressure. I feel like we're all in this pressure cooker of change. Sometimes it may result in some wobble within, feeling a bit distressed, old emotions bubbling up. All of this is part of releasing a lot of old patterns so that, and this is not just for us, this is for our whole ancestry and moving forward. I really feel like we're the bridge. We are the
Yeah.
bridge in between worlds. Yeah. We are anchoring in codes of higher consciousness so that, and not everybody's doing that. People have different roles, but some of us are. And this, as more of us anchor this energy in, bringing it through to the earth, and the earth shifts and brings this energy up to the hearts, we expand, we amplify our energy. And we are, I feel, the new earth grid. And
Yeah.
that means, there's a system of grids that have been playing out this matrix sort of energy that we've been in, and there's this overlay that is coming in. And I feel like there's all these light worker types that are all around the world, dotted around the world, that are anchoring in energies. And as we all do this, we are supporting a shift in consciousness to a bigger picture view, to sort of connecting with maybe galactic realms, to um, I guess releasing out of habitual patterning, family patterning, to a bigger view of what's going on. So you could be in the, oh my goodness, this is a chaotic time and it's horrid, or you could be in the view of this is a necessary part of the Earth's evolution so that we can transcend one way of being to another. Does that kind of name some of what you were kind of wanting me to say?
Yeah, it really does. And I want to compliment what you say because it really comes right down to that. So we're in a great awakening, right?
Mm,
And here
mm,
you are, you're awakening, but you're not quite sure where to go or what to do with that awakening. And what you
mm,
said is exactly that. All we have to do is release that which doesn't work for us, right? And do what? I want to default back to some of the ancient texts, which was
mm, mm,
the emerald tablets. The
mm,
children of men
mm.
are here to help, or excuse me, the children of light are here to help the children of men hold their light, right? And so what that meant to me was, at a minimum, all we have to do is hold our light. We
Mm,
need to hold
mm,
our light. So you don't need to engage in the humanness of,
mm,
I'm going to be on the front lines here. I got to do this. I got to do that.
mm.
I have to take in the fear that they're bombarding me with. No,
Yeah, yeah.
all you're
Mm,
being asked to do is to
mm,
hold your light. And if you could do that at a basic level, at a
mm,
foundational level,
mm,
you don't want to know what to do. As you
mm,
awaken, hold your light.
mm.
Hold that positivity, hold that peace that is the
Beautiful.
balance, that is the core in the midst of the chaos.
Mm.
In the midst of the chaos. Because
And I think,
then,
yeah.
oh, go
I,
ahead if you want to
no, no,
interject.
sorry, my love. I think that's totally spot on. And I think as humans, I'm talking for myself here, is
Mhm.
we like to make it complex. Yeah, we like
Yes,
we like to think, oh my goodness. And there's such a, especially in the spiritual community, these days, there's such a, oh my God, what's your life's purpose? You know what I mean? And I
yes,
mean that's great to have
yes,
purpose, but keep it simple because, I don't think we're in a phase right now in the planetary consciousness where we're ready to go into another
exactly.
space.
Into
I
another
feel like
space or place. Yeah,
yeah, I feel like we're just in this holding pattern, holding our light as things unravel. And it can be as simple as that because if we make it too complex, like, oh, we've got to do this, this, and this, and this to fulfill our soul mission, then I feel like it adds a lot of pressure and burden on people. And often I think I think what a lot of old souls are doing right now are releasing a lot of energy from past lives.
hmm,
So where missions haven't worked or where they've been working in, say, Atlantis or Lemuria and things haven't gone so well. And a lot of that has been released out right now so that we can come really back into this center point, not get hooked into any, I guess, Armageddon kind of scenarios
exactly,
and
exactly.
kind of stay balanced,
Balance.
as you said, so that we can hold light. And I think that's it. That's it.
Yeah. And so I like to equate it to this is
Mm,
that people will say, well, you're just not addressing what's happening around us. You're just not addressing the things, and I'm afraid, and this is
mm,
happening, and look at the chaos of the weather, and look at this and look at that.
oh,
But
yeah.
I look at it this way,
Mm,
my bachelor's in mathematics, right? So here comes the mathematical kind of more the science part of me, right?
cool.
Which
Mm,
is that it's like a fractal breaking,
mm,
right?
mm,
And when that fractal breaks, we are in disharmony
mm,
until we harmonize, right?
beautiful.
So if
Mm,
we're witnessing the disharmony, all we have
mm,
to do is stand still and allow that
mm,
circumstance which is around us and surrounding us to come into harmony. It has to come into chaos before it comes
mm.
into harmony.
I love
Because
that.
then
I love
that's
that.
how we do that repeat, right? And so understanding that we are a world that of cycles, right?
Mm,
The cosmos
mm,
is in cycles, the
mm,
earth mother is in cycles as she speaks,
mm,
and the
mm,
waters and the
mm,
and
mm,
the
mm,
moon
mm,
and the tides.
mm,
We're all
mm,
cycles. The earth mother's blood goes in
mm,
cycles, high tide, low tide. We are
mm,
in cycles,
mm,
and our cycle is that we come into disharmony, and then what
mm,
happens is when we align and we take that leap of octave, then we come
mm,
into harmonization, and that is also enlightenment, right? That's a little bit
mm,
more awakened,
mm,
that's more conscious, and
mm,
that
mm,
consciousness allows us to be that light beacon of light. And
mm,
so I want to also
mm,
equate that
mm,
capability and that possibility in the
mm,
respect that all we have to do is walk our path forward. And if
mm,
we choose to participate, being more the observer than the reactor, then what we
mm,
can engage is walking forward and going, oh, a door is open here and a door is open there. Do I choose to walk through it?
mm,
I don't
mm,
have to jump in. I
mm,
don't have
mm,
to, engage in, and I don't have to go
mm,
fight the good fight on the front
mm,
lines. All I
mm,
have to do is hold my light. And why is that so important? Is because it's just like a lighthouse.
mm,
People
mm,
come out of the storm
mm,
to find the light and stand at the lighthouse, right? What does the lighthouse do? It's a beacon, and it's a beacon that says, I'm over here, stand with me. I'm over here, come out of the storm. Here's where you stand and you're safe. So, what harmonizes us in that fractal, right? But those
mm,
beacons that basically say, if you come over here, you'll align with
mm,
me. And when you align with me,
mm,
we'll be in harmony. When you align with me, we'll be in harmony till we're all in harmony. And look at the beacons across the world,
mm.
you know?
And I think that's so spot on because there's also people, I mean, it feels like also, certain people have different roles, you know?
Yes.
There's people that want to, that are holding light and that is their primary role.
Right.
And that is Other people may get involved in the narratives of the day a little bit more, and that is also their role. But the fact is that some of us, I mean, I can sometimes go down a bit of a rabbit hole here and there,
Yeah.
and then I pull myself back because at the end of the day, I feel like spirit always comes back to me and says, you know, what can you do about these scenarios? Really, you can't control them, and you can't one person cannot make things go away, or what the narratives that are kind of unraveling. So the best thing we can do is hold the light. The best thing we can do is be that bridge of harmony, so others can mirror it and
Exactly.
stabilize. And I think almost in my mind, it's because a lot of us have been really building up our resilience since 2020
Hmm.
that now we're at this point where we're strong enough to hold as a collective number. And so the acceleration of the unraveling is happening because
Yeah.
there's enough people here on the earth to hold it. Whereas before it was too flimsy. So now we've got to this point where there's enough nodes of light, if you will, all around the world doing what you've just said, being beacons, being lighthouses. And so they're holding space for this. Um, I mean, some might say controlled demolition is of the dark, but you know, it is a controlled demolition of an old way, so
It
that
is.
um, we can rise up to a high
Right.
vibration. Yeah,
Right.
the
Well,
patterns.
think about it this way too. Another great analogy I like to use is that when you
Mm,
enter into a dark cave and it is completely dark and there's no
mm,
light present and you flicker
mm,
one light, what happens to that cave?
mm,
It's completely changed. There's no longer
mm,
just solid darkness anymore. And that one
mm,
light is like that beacon because it changes the
beautiful.
whole dynamics of everything that you do. And then as we hold that light and we flicker more and we flicker more and we flicker more and we flicker more, think about it this way too, is that when
Mm,
we're all in our light and we're holding our
mm,
light, how do you
mm,
introduce a flicker of darkness? The
mm,
reverse really
mm,
can't be done unless you're in your fear.
mm,
Fear is the flicker of the one little darkness. So the whole key is to stay calm and to be present as the world
mm,
changes around us. It's okay. It's
mm.
okay for it
And
to change.
And I think this is why I mean, I go back to the somatic bodywork stuff as well, because
Okay.
really the nervous system, yeah, the
Yeah.
nervous system is the most important thing to work with right now, and the body, because there's the fear that's in the collective field that can be agitating, but
Hmm.
also there's the earth shifts that can be agitating because we feel them. There's also the energies coming in that can be seen as foreign to the being that can also agitate. So there's a lot of shaking going on in the nervous system. So I think a lot of what to keep calm in the body, in the mind, and the nervous system is super important right now to be this beacon because there's so much that can agitate the system. And because we're also increasing our light quotient by the bombardment of
Yeah.
frequencies, it does require time. This is why I think a lot of people are feeling tired, exhausted, energetically drained at times, but then at the other times they feel very wired and full of beings. So I feel like there's a lot going on at a cellular DNA level to
Yeah.
transform us from the inside out to be, and I think it's back to the carbon to crystalline, that
Right.
people talked about a while ago. We're shifting our whole organism, so that we can be raise our frequency to a whole different level, and that's going to be uncomfortable. And
Right.
especially if you're not conscious, it's going to be very uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
we're doing, I feel like we're doing work for the future generations.
We are. And, I always like to define fear so that people can get a different association with fear instead of
Mm,
using it as a emotion. I
mm,
like to define fear as like this bubble.
mm,
We're in the center of this bubble. And as
mm,
long as we're in the center of the bubble, that
mm,
which is in the bubble is what we're
mm,
comfortable with.
mm,
But when the heart has a desire and the heart wants you
mm,
to grow, what it does is
mm,
it introduces something to you outside of the bubble that
mm,
forces you to make that which is uncomfortable comfortable, right?
mm,
But what does it do
for
with
sure.
that bubble? It makes it
Mm, mm,
grow and
mm,
include that which is uncomfortable comfortable.
mm.
And I'm
Very much.
saying this to those who are there because stop looking at fear as just the emotion, but
Mm,
look at it as the comfort zone by which you operate to always kind of ward fear away, and then to learn how to make that which is uncomfortable comfortable. We have technologies, AI is being introduced to us, and a
mm,
lot of people are struggling with that. I like it, I hate it, I don't
mm,
want it to
mm,
happen, it's gonna happen.
mm, mm,
What do I do? Should I use it? I shouldn't use it.
mm, mm.
It was almost like when .com came out and you first saw your first
Oh, yeah, yeah,
.com,
yeah.
and you were like,
Mm,
no, I don't want to buy anything from that. I'm never going to buy anything from a .com because
mm,
I don't want that technology kind of thing.
mm, mm,
But,
mm,
when I think about the Intergalactic Council, and I'm going to go
mm,
there, and when I
mm,
think about other civilizations that very much, whether you buy into it or not, you know that it's spoken about all around you. So we might as well just acknowledge it, right?
mm,
That
mm,
there are Pleiadians, there are Arcturians, there are
mm,
higher level civilizations, and they are doing what?
mm,
They are living with imbalance
mm,
technology. Is that to
mm,
say that every Pleiadian or every Arcturian is 100%? No, we hear about the Greys, we hear about some of
mm,
the darker societies, right?
mm, mm,
We
mm,
are like what is considered a class three civilization behind the veil, right?
mm,
Which is that we have a heck of a lot of growing up to do.
mm,
And then
mm,
our government has always kept everything behind the veil because they don't
mm,
want to acknowledge that
mm,
all of this technology has been there for years, and that they didn't want to give access to the public to it, right?
mm,
And
mm,
so I think, and you can weigh in on this, I think
mm,
that we are a civilization that, because it's been behind the veil, we're
mm,
going through like a child who's crawling and then has to
mm,
toddle and then has to
mm,
learn how to walk in
mm,
balance with the technology.
mm,
Because when we look at higher civilizations and they're in balance with their technology and it's a natural extension of them,
mm,
they're not going
mm.
through, oh, the technology is going to put me out of business and I can't function and all I'm going to do is be there. They're not saying, oh, the technology is just going to dummy everybody down. They're not going through this, but yet in our growing pains, in that fear,
Mm,
because we are in our
mm,
comfort level,
mm, 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 mm,
and we haven't
mm,
made that which is uncomfortable comfortable, and we haven't
mm,
balanced how we choose to use the technology, because every person has what? A choice, because we have free will. So it
mm,
doesn't have to be all consuming,
mm, mm,
right? That how would
mm,
we ever see ourselves as a civilization that's growing to the next level,
mm.
if we can't even accept what's in front of our faces?
And that's, I think, the predicament at the moment. And I think um, because there are so many polarized narratives playing out, because of the social media and the alternative media, then the mainstream media, that now all coexist in sort of one mass. And people have their algorithms, so they see what they want to see. They don't see other stuff. So we're kind of splintered into different communities. And I feel like intentionally so, there is twisting of narratives to put people into fear.
Yeah.
And so so this is again coming back to your innate soul knowing, because we are in the age of Aquarius. We are in an age where technology is going to advance, whether we like it or not. Um, I think, and more rapidly than it has done in our lifetimes. So far. So it's going to happen, and there's choices to be made. But I was talking to a friend the other day, around electric cars, yeah? around
Mm.
the electric cars. They came, there was a big buzz about them here in the the COVID years about,
Yeah.
everyone was going to get an electric car, it was going to save the world and da 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 da. And I haven't got anything against an electric car, by the way, just just so you know. But but there was a
I
lot
have
of,
no judgment,
but
attachment, or
there was
anything.
yeah. So there was fear came up about people about their car being controlled and shut down if, we had an electric car. And then so much fear was booked up. And then just naturally it's all died down. People will or will not accept the cars. They're not as popular as they thought they were going to be. It's all fine. And so there's these waves of fear when something new is introduced. But society more than often absorbs what comes once they get over their initial fear of change.
Mm.
And like you said, the expansion of the bubble that they're in. And I feel that if we can breathe through the chaos and the craziness of the unfoldment of that and work with any triggers that come up and come back into alignment, then it could be used to support as well. I mean, the internet now allows us to do this. The internet, social media allows me to connect with people all over the world that I would never have done. So there's pros and cons to everything. It
Right.
has made us a global community. So it's always, I mean, obviously, it's kind of also in who's running the show, obviously, behind behind the veil. However, I feel that it's all, like you said earlier, it's about positive intention. We're seeing that we are creating a world that is freer, that is more a benefit from these resources, and that we are on a positive timeline. And if we are holding that. Because our community is very powerful. I
Yeah.
feel like we hold a lot of energy. We're very strong energy beings. So if we get distracted and pulled in to some of the fear, then we can help co-create a reality. So it's really important to stay away from co-creating a negative timeline or co-creating a some doomsday something or other, Terminator kind of
Yeah.
reality. Um, and really staying in the knowledge that we're going to be okay. Things are unfolding to increase the consciousness, and we will work this out
Mm.
collectively. There may be some speed bumps, but I think knowing that we're on a positive timeline and sticking to that. So energetically, as the nodes of light, as the beacons, as the lighthouses, all over the world holding that intention, then we have um, that is the most powerful thing we can do right now, you know?
Right. Right. You know, good. I could talk to you forever, and we're
Oh,
coming up on an
it's a
hour.
no. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just like it went by so fast, and I'm looking at the time, and I would love to ask you this.
Mm, mm,
Mm, as we traverse and go through the iterations of all that is taking place in the world,
mm,
what would you share is the best that individuals can do? Because I feel like, and you can take a different spin at it if you'd like, but I
sure,
feel
sure.
like what we're doing is we're actually going through the
Mm,
transformation of the world. And so
mm,
all we have to do is hold our space. So
mm,
what would you say to those who aren't really doing so well with all of the change? I will caveat that with that we are in
mm,
psychological warfare in the
mm,
respect that we are being bombarded with trying to get people to be afraid.
mm,
You
mm,
know, what
mm,
would you say to those individuals who realize what's taking place around them, but think
mm.
that they're not sure what to do?
Okay. So then I would, for in that experience, I would really simplify things. Yeah. So if they're emotionally flooded by information or narratives that are scaring them. They need to back away for a little while. They need to regroup. They need to find ground on the earth. They need to find like a flower or a tree or an ocean, something very simple to be present with,
Mhm.
to find a little bit of joy, a little bit of beauty in nature. Keep it simple because, you lose your humanity in the fear. And there's so much good still in the world. Yeah. So work on regulating your nervous system, get some hands-on body work or massage or do some Pilates for your core strength. You've got to get stronger. This is the game we're in. The psychological warfare game is teaching us we need to be more resilient. Yeah. We
Yes.
need to be more resilient. So use if you need to see somebody to work with your thoughts, go and see a psych. If you're wanting some to work with triggers, go and see somebody or work on the chakras, work on your energies, get support. Like this, if you're struggling, get support so that you can hold yourself, yeah, so that you can come back into balance, and then mm, you rest into that grounded space within, and everything seems more okay, even though it's not different outside of yourself. So it's about really choosing. It's a real choice, yeah. It's a choice to move towards well-being rather than staying in the scrolling or whatever, you know what I mean? Or
Right.
or whatever you're doing that feels that triggering. Um, I mean, and also I do understand people are in difficult situations, financially or otherwise, so that's also anxiety provoking. So if that is the case, um, again, really doing, there's enough free stuff on YouTube. Work with YouTube or some other platform. I have a YouTube channel that people can then listen to my light language activations. Work on stuff that helps your nervous system, vagus nerve, anything to really settle your system out of the fight flight. Because that's all we get. That's all it is. We keep getting triggered into the fight flight. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So please do share with us what you
Mm.
do in your work in your sessions. You
Oh,
cannot come here and not share that.
okay. Okay. So, I mean, I work pretty organically with folks. In a one-on-one session. It's an informal chat. I work with clearing the energies of the chakra pillar, tuning in psychically. There may be some information around soul work or where they're at in their life. Some people have questions, like a psychic reading. Um, Also working with clearing and opening and activating the DNA chakra system through light language. And so a lot of my work is releasing past life trauma or anything that hooks you into, getting fearful of the now situation. For example, the AI stuff. If you've had a past life in Atlantis, that could be more triggering than the next person. If and such like certain timelines, if people have soul memory of them, certain narratives are more triggering than others. So if you can release and defrag from those old energies, you're kind of not triggered as much. So I think so use the triggers as information. But yeah, so I work with different timelines, connecting people to their channels through the light language, through alignment. I also do group work online and in person. And those are often more potent, even if you're online, because it's a group etheric field. I often have a few people in the room with me when I'm doing the group that help us anchor the work. And this works again, it's clearing and anchoring energies in. This is for your own personal ascension, but also for um, anchoring energy through the grids at different locations. That's why I do love people coming in from different locations in the world because we're all anchoring in at the same time. So um, I think that's me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Do you want to share any of your work?
Oh, you want me
Online?
to do a little bit of light? Should we do a little light language to finish off? Yeah. Mm.
Sure.
So this is, I mean, when we started speaking before we started going live, there was just this energy um, for the high heart space, really, which is just above the heart, yeah. And and I think it came in a little bit more strongly when we started talking about Mary Magdalene, because we both have that connection. And and I feel like she's quite present energetically at the moment with people in general, just because there is a lot of unraveling going on that she's her energy. And, I always feel that all these ascended masters are galactic beings as well as, um, as well as have been incarnated on the earth. So I feel like this is a galactic frequency that I'm bringing through. And it's really and the high heart itself is, I feel like, stores so much um, of our past, our past lives, our soul. And so this is just like an awakening or an opening of that portal to you to remember at a deeper level who you are, for your listeners, yeah, and for you, of course. Okay. So I'm just going to bring through some light language, and really all you need to do is listen to the sound and see how you feel. Jabatakabugotharikabagandharikabugotharikabagatarikabugothariki. Shalabakatarakapatarikipatarikibotarikibugothariki. Jabatukotharikabagatarikabarikabugotharikabagatariki. Shabatarakatarakatarakatarakapatarikapatipatikitikatikatarikaparki. Shampatarakantarikapatikatikatiki. Shalabadapatarikatatikatiki. Shalakututurukotarikatariki. Shutututarikiokatariki. Shalabatutarikaparikapagotharikatatariki. Shalabatatarakatarakatarikatariki. Shall to Paracatatariki, shall a patata regarabo, Paracapucotaricataki, shall a patata Shapaticaburu, Pitari Paricatarica, Paricapaturic Pariki, shall a caca, 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 shall a pacoto, Totorica, da 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 da. And she says in English, that was a transmission to remind you of who you are and to never lose hope. So even though things seem a little stressy here and there in the world, to never lose hope that we have her and many, many other beings support at all times if we choose to access them.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Yeah. No worries.
Very, very much. What an honor it is to have you here.
Oh, bless you.
And so I just want to share with my audience because I'm getting chills right now from that transmission. That's beautiful, and it's keeping everything from me not to respond to you. um,
You can respond. Can you respond? No. Oh, no? It's so good to see you again, my sister.
I took a room in the Atacamani, recommended get a recommended tetia. Etcetera orea arro arro.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you are on the Infinite Way podcast where spirituality meets humanity and the gifts that we bring forward. And being able to amplify these gifts and having the conversation outward is so important. Is so important. We work with energy. And so you've had just a little sample of what Michael Muir brings to the table. So please do seek him out. I want to thank you, Michael, for being here.
My pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
And so if you like this episode, please like us, please subscribe to us, please share this with someone. Michael is here. He is a light worker and he is going to help somebody else out there who's going to hear this episode and needs the work. So please do share. And again, we want to thank Michael. And this has been another episode of The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. Thank you, everyone, and take care for now. We'll see you in the next episode.